My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask your pardon for my sins and the grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. In the musical Les Miserables, which of course is based on a book by the same name, we meet the main character, Jean Valjean. He has recently been granted parole after serving a sentence of 19 years for stealing a loaf of bread and for many attempts at escaping. And he's having a very difficult time finding work. On top of that, he is very bitter. He's very angry at the world. He has been treated unjustly and really sees no reason for treating others in a kind, just, or merciful way because he's never really been treated that way. And one night, it is raining. He has no food. He is exhausted. He is starving. And he's wandering through the woods, and he comes upon a beautiful house. And he goes up to the door, and he basically collapses at the door. The door's opened, and we discover that the house belongs to a bishop, a Catholic bishop. And the bishop orders that the man be brought in, that Jean Valjean be brought in. He gives him food, he gives him a bath, he gives him a warm bed. And in the middle of the night, Jean Valjean wakes up, and he goes around the house, and he steals a bunch of silver. Literally silverware. And he takes that silverware, and he leaves. And the next day, the bishop wakes up to find that Jean Valjean has gone. But then, a little bit later, the police, having captured Jean Valjean, come and ask the bishop to identify him as the man who had spent the night there, and also to identify the silver that Jean Valjean had stolen. And to the surprise of everybody, the police and Jean Valjean as well, the bishop says, "No, that silverware is yours. I gave it to him. And in fact, you forgot all of it." And he goes back in, or he orders the servants to bring out candlesticks and even more silver to say, "Jean Valjean, this is for you." And so the police are stunned, Jean Valjean's stunned, but there's nothing they can do, so the police leave. And there we have Jean Valjean face to face with the bishop. And the bishop gives him all that silver and makes him make a promise. A promise to remake his life, to become a person for good, to use that money as a new start, use that silver as a new start. And Jean Valjean changes. And he becomes a man for good. And he becomes a merciful man. And it all started with this gratuitous act of mercy on behalf of the bishop. In today's gospel, we have the scene of Jesus confronted, that the Pharisees bring a woman who'd been caught in adultery, and they present this woman before Jesus. And they ask him, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the very act of committing adultery. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say?" They're trying to trick our Lord. They're trying to test him, to trap him. Because if Jesus, as they suspect, if Jesus decides not to have that woman stoned, then he will be violating the law of Moses, and then they can accuse him of that. And based on everything that he's done, they're pretty sure that he's not going to choose to stone her or to have her stoned. And of course, they're right. They're right about Jesus in that way. But they didn't know what he was going to say. Jesus bent down and began to write on the ground with his finger. But when they continued asking him, he straightened up and said to them, "Let the one among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." Again he bent down and wrote on the ground. And in response, they went away one by one, beginning with the elders. The elders, who are presumed to be wiser and have lived longer, which in many cases means having sinned more, because we're all sinners. So the longer one lives, the more one has sinned. And hopefully one is aware of it. So eventually they all leave, and he was left alone with the woman before him. Then Jesus straightened up and said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She replied, "No one, sir." Then Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on, do not sin any more." We don't see the rest of the story or what happens to this woman the way we do in Les Miserables, where we see Jean Valjean's conversion and the rest of his life, where he is truly a merciful man. But we can imagine how important this moment must have been for this woman. Some say it's St. Mary Magdalene, though it's not precisely clear from the text that it is her. Nonetheless, there could have been a very similar conversion and dedication to our Lord that St. Mary Magdalene had. That loyalty, the undying love that she had. And it was because our Lord had mercy on her. She had been possessed by 7 demons. Anyway, coming back to this woman, assuming it's not the same, though it might be, as St. Mary Magdalene, he does not condemn her. "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on do not sin anymore." It's a new start. Get up. Do not sin anymore. Continue with your life. And choose the good and do good. Jesus, we are the objects or the recipients of your mercy all the time. You are the merciful Good Shepherd who sees his sheep in need and comes to their need. And we experience Jesus' mercy in a big way when we experience his forgiveness. And we need forgiveness. We need to be forgiven. And we need to be encouraged. Go and sin no more. You can do it. Get back up and back on the right path. Maybe each one of us can think of experiences that we've had in our life, of experiencing that mercy, that forgiveness, that encouragement. Maybe it came from our Lord in prayer, and maybe it came from confession after a sincere act of contrition. Maybe it came from forgiveness or acceptance from a friend or a family member, reconciliation with a parent or with a sibling. And with that comes a new spring in our step, a new breath of life, to begin again. So those moments in which we have experienced someone else's mercy, mercy which can be forgiveness, but not just forgiveness. It can be someone else helping us in some way, listening to us, helping us with some material need, helping us pay off a debt. Whatever it might be, with that comes an invitation and an opportunity also to become a merciful person, a person who treats others with mercy. It's a teaching moment that we are called to take advantage of. When parents are this way, when they are merciful with their children, in coming to their need, in correcting them out of love, not out of anger, in showing them that they're forgiven and that they're encouraged, all those things. When parents act this way with their children, they are teaching their children to be that way with others, and the ripple effect can be huge and beautiful. On the contrary, snapping at others, particularly children, teaches them to behave the same way when confronted with other people's weaknesses and mess-ups. And in that case, we would have an example of a huge ripple effect that is not beautiful at all. It's actually quite bad. So Jesus, help us be humble. Help us ask for and to accept mercy, whether it is in the form of forgiveness or help in some way. Help us to ask for and accept that mercy from you and from others, and to teach us to be grateful for that mercy, and then we ourselves will be instruments of mercy with others. I thank you, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations that you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask your help to put them into effect. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.